Most of them don't actually struggle with growth. What they struggle with is the right sequencing of the stepping stones of growth.
I believe 80% of all problems in business are a communications problem.
Are you trying to sell before you have built trust with people? First, you build credibility, and then you build trust.
I need more leads. I need to reduce my churn, or I need to improve my gross dollar retention, and that's how I'll grow.
Credibility is your proof. Trust is your consistency, and your loyalty is that emotional connection.
Can you describe for the audience where most founders get it wrong? Welcome to Outsource to Profits. I have a fantastic guest here. Angela, do you mind describing who you are, what you do, and how you serve the world?
My name is Angela McKenna. I am an award-winning author and a publishing and marketing strategist who founded OMERA Press, a platform for serious independent authors who follow the same traditional rigor of traditional publishing and deserve to shine. So I built this platform to help independent authors have a beautiful presence.
Fantastic. What we're going to be talking about today is growth. That Angela believes there's a trifecta of things that need to come together. It's not just about inbound lead flow on a multiple of conversion and velocity equals sales equals growth. There's actually a more holistic view to the growth of your company. One of the things that I'm a huge believer of is that communication, internal and external, is actually a system that needs to be refined, no different than a revenue operating system or product innovation. And I could go on for days around how I'm systematizing communication for both internal and external, because I believe 80% of all problems in business are a communications problem. Angela, my first question, can you describe for the audience where most founders get it wrong? They look at growth simply through the lens of a spreadsheet of I need more leads, I need to reduce my my churn, or I need to improve my gross dollar retention, and that's how I'll grow. But you and I were talking offline. There's way more nuance to this on other parts of the business.
You're absolutely correct there. I truly believe in the communication being key, but I normally look at this through the lens of branding an author. But honestly, I see the same pattern in a lot of founder-led companies where most of them don't actually struggle with growth. What they struggle with is the right sequencing of the stepping stones of growth. So it's a sequence problem. It's that saying, the cart doesn't come before the horse. So what I will often ask them is, when I look at their presence as a whole, is this you? And are you trying to sell before you have built trust with people? And are you pushing visibility before you're clear on what you stand for? Because when you have built the trust, that's when people can buy into you. But trust doesn't come first. First, you build credibility, and then you build trust. And I'll give you an example. I have a client who is I call him an idol in the medical world, and he has now transitioned to adult literary world. He has a great presence online. He's great presence when he's in person, but he was sending out he was spending a lot of money on marketing, social media content, podcasting, TV, radio, and people still weren't buying his book. And so we slowed him down. We took a picture holistically, and we found that the messaging that he was sending out wasn't clear for the path that he was in, and he couldn't get people to buy into him. So once we changed his messaging and changed it so that it was a solid messaging for the audience that he was trying to achieve, That is when, and we clarified his messaging. That is when the credibility was clear and trust followed and sales started to move. And so the effort was the same. It just was in the right order now. And so when people see what you stand for and it resonates, that's when people become loyal. Not just customers, they're loyal. And does it take longer? Yes. Is it worth it? Absolutely. It is trust that builds growth. And so for me, there are three main steps to building structured presence. And so it's your perceived presence, how visible you are online before you interact with people. It's your organic presence, how people perceive you and experience you once you start paying attention. And then it's your in-person presence and how trust accelerates once people see you face to face and start interacting with you then. And I think most founders stall because they overbuild on one of those steps and underdesign on the other two. And that's when burnout happens. Burnout from over pivoting, jumping in before you've actually got a plan. And it's exhausting. So I ask founders a few simple questions. Have you branded yourself? What are your colors? What are the fonts you use? Are you recognizable when people see you? When you send out those signals, are they recognizable? Also, do people want to hear what you are trying to say? And I think an even harder question is, what are you doing that is truly unique? What do you stand for? So figure out what you stand for and stick with it, because what's helping companies scale isn't more visibility. It's structured visibility. And so I'm finding that founders push out posts, they follow trending messages. And so they have, how do I say this? They sell before they build belief. They amplify before they anchor, and they post before they've positioned. And that is just activity. It is not infrastructure. And that is what spells burnout. And so scaling is infrastructure that compounds, that messaging that is repeatable, and authority that doesn't reset just because you go quiet. And so if your growth depends on you showing up live every single day, you haven't built any leverage. What you've built is dependency. So what people mostly hear from me saying is credibility first, trust second, then the loyalty will come in. And now those things can happen all at once, and they often do. But the key is they have to be built in alignment. Credibility is your proof. Trust is your consistency, and your loyalty is that emotional connection. And so you can build credibility while people are starting to trust you, and you can start to earn their trust while loyalty is forming. But if your messaging is inconsistent and your positioning keeps shifting, and you're pivoting every 30 days, you're breaking that alignment. And that's where founders get frustrated because they think growth is stalled. Growth hasn't stalled at all. It's reset. And that is what is exhausting. So credibility, trust, and loyalty can grow, but they have to be anchored to something that is solid.
Can I ask, and this is fantastic. What I'm interested in your point of view, imagine an audience listener or listeners are starting their business for the first time. So they're sitting there saying, I totally get the order of operations. How do I establish credibility when maybe I did it before in the corporate world and now I'm hanging a shingle and I'm starting a business, or I have a lack of customers I can lean into to demonstrate credibility or social proof. What would you say to the new first-time founder? What would be your advice there?
So make sure you have all three of those presents. Number one, you need to build a website that is structured around you. Everything has to be done strategically. You don't just go out and spray and pray. What you have to do is have a very structured plan before you start. So figure out what you stand for and let that be your anchor. Let that be your message. Find your unique value proposition and set that up on your website. Set that up figure out which platform suits your purpose, because not everybody is on the same platform. If you're, so let's say, for instance, you're in business, you certainly want to be on LinkedIn because that's the most business oriented platform. And that's probably where you'll find most of your customers, but that's not your only place. So you actually have to have a secondary. So for instance, bookish people, if you're grounded, or you are the brand and your book is an adjunct to your brand, you need to be where bookish people are. And that's usually on Instagram. So you want to build on LinkedIn and Instagram and have a presence where people can go to and find you. And that is your website. So everything needs to, revolve around the same message. And then your messaging has to be structured so that people are going to lean into it. And start communicating with people in that field and let yourself become a thought leader. Add some value to conversations so that eventually they will come back to you. And it does take time. Growth isn't built overnight. Your audience isn't built overnight. You have to start joining conversations where you fit in and add value, and people see the value, and then they'll start following you and asking questions and lean into your messaging. And then you need to be able to be in person. That personal touch is something that is so effective. Being out there on a panel, find those events that you can join into and bring your message to. TV and radio, but you have to have all three aligned. And you do it at the same time. It may not all go at the same rate, but just keep it all aligned. And that's when people lean in.
This is fantastic. Yeah, I really appreciate all the advice. How do people get a hold of you if they want to know more around your ideas around the pillars in the order of operations of growth?
I am on LinkedIn. As I said, I have OMERA Press, of which I'm the founder for. You can contact me on www.omerapress.com. I'm on LinkedIn, and you can contact me that way. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well, because in the author's world, those are the platforms that I see most fitting for my community. And actually, that's another thing too. I'll just tap that in. Join communities. Communities are really, really effective for getting your voice out there, whether it's a business community, whether it's a children's literature community, or just find your community and add value. Sorry, I went backwards.
No, I am in complete agreement there. As I've been a member of Collective 54 for 5 years, which is a community of founders of professional services companies. So you're dealing with your like-minded kind all the time. Angela, thank you so much for being on Outsource to Profits.
Thank you for having me today here, Jamie. Appreciate it. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Bye for now.